Yo, 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 what up, Mrs. Z Nation, aka Cybercharmer Jones Giraffe? Welcome to another episode of the Megacolony Trap House Podcast. Oh my god. It's been a while since I did a podcast. Damn, I haven't even started a podcast not once this whole year. But anyway, I'm about to come out with the straight heat, bro. I'm about to come out with the straight heat. So, my thing is this. I wanted to talk about premium format for a while. I've been studying up a little bit about what everybody think their opinion about premium format is. Now that we got a whole nother format and a whole nother reboot once again, I think it's actually time for me to start talking about premium. So I made like a premium prediction wish list. Well, it's not a prediction list, but it's like a wish list. And before I do that, I wanted to talk about my honest opinion about premium format. I'm gonna be real with you on that. I'm about to come out with the straight heat, bro. I'm gonna be real with you. My the fun that I have for premium format has been long gone. I'm gonna be real with you on that. I used to enjoy premium format. I used to be the type of person who was like, "Yo, we are the only card game in Bushy Roads, you know, pool of cards or whatever you want to call it, that has two different formats in 2 different days on when it comes to regionals, because you already know like Weiss only gets 1 day, Buddy Fight only gets 1 day, even though Buddy Fight is now gone. But before the Rona times, we did get standard format in 1 day and premium format in another, and I was like, yo, this is actually pretty good. We need to take advantage of this because I realized that, yo, there's a shit ton of people who always shows up for standard format, but then when it comes to premium format, more than half of those people are gone. And I'm like, yo, we need to take advantage of this because we seen what they did with Dragonborn. Dragonborn didn't do shit, and they canned it. And I felt like that they were going to do the exact same thing to premium because they noticed that, yo, a lot of people are caring about standard format, but nobody's really caring about premium format. If this keeps up, Bushy Road is going to take away premium format. And I have said this since the beginning and when I started noticing things. But at the same time, I feel like that there was that one particular point where even I thought about quitting premium. Like there was a legitimate time and a legitimate point where I was like, yo, I think I'm done with this format. I really am. And something told me to myself, yo, there's still some decent stuff for premium format. There's still some interesting combos that you can do. It's not like there's like some interactions which makes it a little bit better, but it's like Bushy Road has hardly done anything with the format whatsoever, and thus this was the main reason and one of the many reasons as to why my spark and joy of premium format has just it is dead. It's completely dead. Um, but then I feel like another part of it was that every clan that I wanted to play got affected in some major way that also made me stray further away from the premium format. So I was like, yo, hardly anybody wants to play premium. Everybody wants to default to standard. So I guess I'ma just play standard more because it's a lot easier to find players with, and especially my play group. Like I remember my play group like a little bit after the format split happened, like everybody was like outside of maybe 3 or 4 people was like, yo, I'm just gonna play standard only. I don't care about premium, which I don't completely blame them. And there was some obvious problems with premium format, like the whole Ezel thing, the NLK loop, the Zazan thing, and everything else like that. There was some obvious problems that didn't get fixed in a timely manner that made people not want to play premium. But now I'm starting to see that there is a little bit more interest in premium format just because of the whole reboot. So maybe I was like, yo, maybe I should kind of sort of tackle this and everything else like that. But I mean, if I really had to talk about some of the stuff that I feel like it kind of sort of made me not trust premium format enough. I want to say it does have to do mainly with the three decks that my three main decks. Obviously, my name's Mrs. Zoo Nation, so I play all of the Zoo Nation clans. And my thing is this: all the Zoo Nation clans got treated badly in both formats. I'm gonna be real with you on that. Like Neo Nectar for a prime example. Neo Nectar, I completely had to put on the back burner. I had to legitimately be like, yo, this clan ain't fun right now. There's too many things happening in the format. The format changed, and Neo Nectar isn't changing with it. So 90% of the time, I have to dig very deep for dubs when going against everybody, and it feels very left behind. So I have to give it a rest for a while. But now seeing that clan selection that's coming out in a couple of days, it actually fixed a lot of the issues that Neo Nectar has. I'm glad to finally pick that back up. I'm glad to finally give it another chance. We about to get in with it though. I'm gonna be real with you. I definitely felt like the Katrina hit definitely made me not really. It kind of actually hurt my soul a lot. I'm not gonna lie. And here's the thing: I knew that Katrina was retardedly dumb. I understand that, but at the same time, I also felt like that Castile. I'm gonna be spoiler alert. I'm gonna also put him as a banned card. I felt like Castile should have got banned too. And I feel like Katrina, if I was expecting Katrina to get an errata or a choice restrict with Cyclone, but I feel like an errata definitely would have been like the best choice because the card was too free. Oh, I stride on Katrina. I get to flip over a card from my G zone and get free tokens. And then when I attack, I get to get a new columns. And I'm sitting here like, there's no counterblast cost, there's no soul blast cost, there's no discard cost, no retire cost, or anything else like that. You just get free shit 24/7. And I feel like that all you needed to do was give out some hefty costs. Maybe counterblast one, soul blast one, discard a card, flip over to something. I don't know, something like that. And maybe just eliminate the whole getting free tokens effect altogether. It would have made it more manageable. Would it be still a bitch to go against? Yes, but it would have made it more manageable. But then we got like the whole new stride from 2020, and it was okay. I will admit, it was pretty good. It did fix some of the issues, and it did kind of feel the hole for Katrina, except for me. Cause I'm gonna be real with you. My plan was to play Musketeers in premium format and Asha in standard format. And this was because I'm gonna be real with you, Musketeers is my most favorite part of Neo Nectar. And because Musketeers has a lot of that older card pool that they can utilize, I was like, okay, maybe I'll just use this. But in my personal opinion, and maybe I was playing it wrong, or maybe there was something that I was missing that didn't necessarily happen, but Musketeers in the new stride does not fit together because Musketeers doesn't generate enough tokens to justify using a new stride. And that basically meant that I had to default going back to the original Musketeers, the original Musketeer strides, where they're not bad, but at the same time, um, they were too slow. They're too slow going compared to everything else in the meta, where legitimately everybody's playing nothing but meta. So So like, here's the thing. I'm all up for adaptation. My thing is this: if the deck I'm playing isn't really that good, I just adapt to the situation, which is understandable. That's basically how the game is built. That's how I play every single card game. But there's a limit to it. There's a limit to everything. There is going to become a particular point where the adaptation isn't there because of synergy reasons or because of the deck being outdated or anything else like that. So because of that, I felt like that I just needed to give it a rest. I done broke it down, rebuilt it, did the trial and error and everything else like that, and nothing comes up. So I just had to do that. But then here comes Great Nature. They have a pretty good stride in Premium Clutch in 2019, the Magma Mar or whatever, however the hell you pronounce it or anything else like that. It was actually pretty good. The 2021 was atrocious. In my personal opinion, the thing where you were able to put something to the bottom of the deck whenever something got retired, in my honest opinion, that should have been a G zone. It should have been a thing that happened when it was face up in the G zone. If that was the case, the stride would have been 10 times better. But I'm gonna be real with you. That stride basically threw off everything I was doing in premium format. So my original thing, I was using Hamsuke, Pencil Hero Hamsuke with Culture Gorilla. And the reason I was doing that was because Pencil Hero Hamsuke obviously gives you 2 XL markers, so it accelerates pretty good. But then you also have the ability of Culture Gorilla, where if you Soul Blast 5 at the end of the battle at your Vanguard attacks, you basically restand every single front row rear guard that's 25k or higher, thus not only making it to where you don't have to worry about stand triggers or anything else like that, but you don't have to solely depend on Cran Tiger for everything. So you'll basically use it with Bofuri or however Barwool, or I think that's how you say his name. You'll basically use it with Barwool during your second stride, and basically you'll have this big hefty like units that will just restand after the Vanguard attack. And not only that, you'll get rid of your opponent's rear guards, and it was just basically this whole thing. So it was like, yo, I don't have to solely depend on, you know, Cran Tiger for me to restand and get multiple attacks or anything else like that, because this card would definitely be a in-game clutcher. But I have the soul for it, and because the 2020 stride requires you to have a lot of soul, you can't really do nothing. It conflicts with each other to a point where it just got to a point where I really hated that stride. I only use it if my deck is 10 cards or less and I have to kill my opponent. That's the only reason to really use it. Outside of that, it's trash. But then Megacolony. Empress Ghidorah was actually pretty good. I'm not even gonna lie. Empress Ghidorah was pretty much legitimately the best start that we had. But you know what the problem was? You know what the problem was? We had no end game. There was no end game, and we were the only fucking clan who still deals with Zoa. Why the hell are we the only clan left in the fucking game that still has to deal with a Xeroth dragon? Why is that? Every other clan has some type of finisher that they can kill somebody off on stride 2 turn. They can kill somebody off on stride 1 turn. But somehow, we're still ended up with fucking Zoa. Why is that? I don't understand that. I'm tired of fucking Zoa. I'm tired of depending on his piece of shit Xeroth dragon. I'm tired of it. And I was like, okay, we got a pretty decent stride in 2019, but then we have the stride in 2020. Maybe that would end up doing something good. The stride from 2020 comes up, and it's a fucking piece of shit. When it gets up to a point where even some of the more experts in Vanguard doesn't know how to use this stride, it definitely becomes something. When it comes up to a point where this stride not only conflicts with every other stride in the game, but it doesn't help Megacolony whatsoever in the fucking distance, it becomes a fucking problem. But I digress. I'm not going to talk about it again. I've ranted about this card more times than enough. I'm fucking tired of it. So that means I basically just have to default to whatever the fuck the meta and premium is, and I don't like that shit. It's not the fact that it's meta or anything else like that, but I feel like that there should be a way for me to play nearly as something as I want to play and actually have somewhat of a chance instead of stressing over the fact that I have no end game, no way to kill my opponent off or anything else like that. And it makes no sense whatsoever. You know, there's a lot of other clans that got revamped, but I don't know, man. I fucking do not know. And if it means that the better version of Megacolony was in standard format, then obviously I'm just going to play standard format, even though it's not that good in standard format either. So what the fuck am I supposed to do? Just play shit that I don't want to play? I ain't with that shit. Kind of, but I don't know, man. I don't know. But anyway. There's one major problem that I have with premium. One major problem. One major fucking problem. Okay. So there was a lot of things that a lot of pro premium players always talk about. Always hear this thing about, oh, you know, why do you choose premium format over standard? Why do you do that? And every single time I hear this one particular response, and it pisses me off. It really does. The main response is that premium format has a larger card pool. Where is this larger card pool? Every time I see a premium deck list, I don't see that larger card pool being used, not one bit. I don't see that larger card pool being used at all. Where is this larger card pool? Because from what I've been seeing is standard decks that just slapped on with a fucking G zone. How is that a larger card pool? Tell me that. How is that a larger card pool? How is it? Oh, but I'm using one or two cards in that. No, you're not. I don't care. That is not premium. That is standard fucking plus. That is standard plus, son. That's not premium. That is standard plus. And I'm tired of people saying it's a premium deck. It's not a premium deck. Where's the Legion? Where's the Break Ride? Where's the Limit Break? Where's the older versions of the Stride, the Stride Breaks or whatever the fuck they were called? Like Altmaul, Glue Grid, Glue Ward, those type of things. Like when you stride and it get like a little effect. I don't know what they were actually called. I just usually call them break strides, but I don't know what the official term of those is called. Where are they? Because they are nowhere near to be found. I've hardly seen anybody use a lot of the older support outside of strides. Just say you want to play with strides. Do not come here talking about that bullshit about, oh, we have a larger card pool. No, nigga, you just want to use strides. That's all you... Just say you want to use strides and get it over with. You like premium format because premium format has strides, not because it has a larger card pool. Unless if your deck is 40% of either the OG era cards or the G era cards in your main deck, it is not a premium deck. It is standard plus. So no, do not come here with that. Don't miss me with that bullshit talking about, oh, I like using premium format because it has a lot of no, it's not. No, you don't. Don't pull that bullshit on me. Don't do that whatsoever. Until I start seeing Legion, until I start seeing brake rides, until I start seeing limit breaks, even Mega Blast, but I know for a fact that's gonna be hella impossible to make Mega Blasts work. I don't want to hear that bullshit. I don't want to hear it whatsoever. Okay, so enough with that rant. Let's get to this wish list, I guess if you want to call it. Let's get to this wish list. Because it's gonna be a lot, and after I'm done with it, I'll basically explain my choices. So, first up for Shadow Paladins, Luard and the main being restricted, choice restricted. OTT, Ika Mishima, and Silent in V Series Silent Time being choice restricted. Genesis, Stand Triggers, and Valkyrian being restricted. Angel Feathers being restricted with Gize. V Series Blade Master and Stand Triggers being restricted. So any of the Blade Masters that can make a Vision token being restricted. Gisteel being banned. The Gisteel Stride being banned. Katrina being put to 1. Just being put to 1. Unbanned and put to 1. I know that sounds a little bit biased though, but I'll explain in a minute. Megacolony, Gize being restricted with Empress Gridora. The Cray Elementals, Zazan getting banned, Tempest Spear getting banned, and Cyclone getting banned. And then, for last but not least, Ultima and the Overdress Trigger being restricted. Alright, so let me explain all of this one by one. Okay, so Luard in the main being restricted. I'm gonna be real with you. It's not really the best restriction, and I also kind of feel like that there's not really a point of restricting it. But here's something weird. Here's something weird that I kind of never understood. There will be something that will break standard format, and they will completely ban it or something like that, or choice restricted. But when it comes to premium, you can just let loose and let it be free, and with little to no restrictions. A prime example, looking at the February 2020 restriction list, when Anger Blader got hit to 1 in standard and Shiryuki got hit to 1 in standard. However, you also got to remember that there is a reason why both of these cards didn't get hit to 1 in premium format. And this was because at the time, the thing that got Shiryuki hit to 1 was her interaction with Hyuga, and Hyuga wasn't really used in premium format until the new Dio Strike came out. But then you had Anger Blader, and Anger Blader, for a prime example, wasn't really as strong as he was in standard format because, people are a lot more defensive and know how to play against it a lot better, and you actually have a lot more chances in premium format to block everything that it was doing. So there was a reason why that didn't happen either. But with Luard in the main, it's a little bit different in my personal opinion, because the thing is, it has the exact same properties as to why Ezel was so powerful in premium format. It was just as powerful. So in my honest opinion, I was always trying to figure out, why, if the Shadow Paladins had the exact same properties as Ezel, why isn't it get banned? So I did ask around for a few people's opinions on this about, yo, how is Shadow Paladins in premium format? Because obviously hardly anybody around my play group plays premium, and if they do, they don't play Shadow Paladins. And people say that they still use that particular thing, but it's literally 50-50 because it all comes down to a dice roll and a couple of other things. And I was like, okay, so it's kind of sort of there, but I'm be real with you, it's more of a watch list restriction. Like I kind of feel like that, you know how Bushy would always do. They always have like the main restrictions, the main bans, and then you always have the watch list. The watch list is something that can possibly get hit, and there's a good reason why it's on there. So in Luard and the mains thing, it's in the watch list. It's obviously in the watch list. And especially it sucks when you go against Mordred because then Morfessa, because then that's when all shit breaks loose. But yeah, Luard and the main restriction is definitely there. And that's about it. Next up with Ika Mishima and Ichi Tom. This has always been a thing since the beginning of premium format. Like everybody wanted this thing to get hit. And here's the thing. This restriction isn't for the premium, the people who stayed in premium format. This restriction is for people trying to get into premium format. Because let's be real, I would say 98% of the people who didn't want to play premium because the format looks daunting. Like, let's be real, when you compare it to V standard format, it was completely different. You now had interactions. You now had to think about what you were doing. You now had all of these combos that was happening. You now had a lot more guard restrict than you were normally used to in standard format. You now have triggers with abilities to worry about and everything else. And I feel like that a combo such as this, where it's near impossible to block, I honestly feel like that's very daunting to anybody coming into premium format. So I was like, yo, if there was a way to get more people into premium format, something obviously has to give, and this is where Ichi Tom goes into. Um I'm gonna be real with you. It's not like it's something that I kind of thought about, but I know it's not like more likely not going to happen. But it is something that I thought about. I kind of feel like if Bushido was to pay like a little bit more attention to it, it might eventually happen. I know it kind of seems like a useless hit because it's not as big as of a problem as it was back in the day when premium format first started. But overall, I kind of feel like that this is definitely a thing. And I like I said, this is just basically for all of the players who wants to get in a premium format, but because the format is too daunting, something needs to give. Like it's kind of like it's like a peace offering in my honest opinion. That's how I'm looking at it. It's a peace offering for newer players to get into the format. Moving on, I'm gonna just lump these two together because they have similar things. So the Valkyrians with the stand triggers and the Blade Master with the stand triggers. The interaction between the Vision tokens and Valkyrian when it comes to stand triggers is absurdly busted, in my honest opinion. I mean, not just in my honest opinion. I think there's a lot of people who agree that these two interactions are dumb as fuck. Like, let's be real on that. They're dumb as hell. They shouldn't really exist, and they're near impossible to beat. Because here's the thing, I'm all up for a loop. I'm all up for like a deck doing a loop as long as the loop isn't busted, as long as the loop has an answer to it, as long as the loop isn't completely unbeatable. Like, think about this. In my personal opinion, I mean, I'm not a personal opinion, but here's the thing. I use one of the decks I play is Nightmare Dolls. Nightmare Dolls has an obvious loop with Leslie and Alice and Jenny. You know, that's an obvious like 3 card loop that exists in, Pale Moon. But the thing is that the loop is beatable for a few reasons. One, it can just simply get Denial Griffin or it can just simply get popped. Two, you also got to remember that damage triggers exist, so damage triggers could eventually come into play. And three, there's only you can only loop so many times because you have to have open counterblast. You have to have open counterblast, and you have to have like some way of getting like all of the pieces into the thing was into the soul whatsoever. And at the same time, you have to once this loop starts, you have to hope that your opponent didn't get any damage triggers or anything else like that. And you also got to remember that the loop is very time consuming too. So you can only do it at a certain amount of time, otherwise it just dies. That, in my honest opinion, is pretty fair. It's very linear, it only has one objective, and if that objective is interrupted in some form or fashion, the whole deck completely dies. That's fair compared to Valkyrian, where all he has to do is hit a stand trigger and he can attack once again with 70k with whatever dry checks he can get at that particular time, maximum 5. And the same thing with Blade Master and the Vision token. You know, all the Vision token has to do is attack. Within that twin drive, they get a stand trigger. They can just restand, get another twin drive, and the sad thing is they don't even have to discard for it. So by the time the thing is done and you survive, they have all of that fucking hand for no reason. What are you supposed to do with that? How are you supposed to work with that? And it's all like there's only a certain amount of clans that can interact with it, that can be like, oh, let me use surprisingly Kagero to denial Griffin the Vision token, or let me use Link Joker to lock the Valkyrian, or Narakami has one, but I forgot what the name of the G Guardian was. But they also have a way to get rid of everything too. And it's all like, but what if I was to play like Great Nature? What if I was to play Aquaforce? What if I was to play um what is it? What if I was to play what would be another prime example? What if I was to play Pale Moon? I guess I can actually put that in here. What if I was to play all of those? I have no way of interacting to Valkyrian. I have no way to interacting with Blade Master and the Vision token. So what at that particular point, I just die. That's just it. It's game over. I have to hope that I get heal triggers in time in order to heal against everything. Otherwise, it's just a death sentence. Not to mention, the Vision token is always going to be on a Force 2 marker, so no matter what, that is 2 damage per attack. That makes no sense whatsoever. How am I supposed to play against that? Oh, I can try to damage deny and actually try to damage deny and actually do and try to play a lot of good defense until it's time for me to actually attack back. But if I attack back and they survive, I'm fucked. What am I supposed to do? They now have damage to use. They now have a way to get the Vision token out. They have everything else. It's all like, what am I supposed to do after that? It's all like, you can strategize against it, but there's nothing I can do to defend myself against it. So what am I supposed to do with that? I'm just dead at that point. And I know I'm not the only one who sees a problem with this, like a real huge issue with this. And don't even get me started on the Zazam bills. Like, that shit is retarded. But anyway, Angel Feather and Gize, I'm gonna be real with you. Competitive wise, I have a problem with Gize. Like when playing a Gize deck in casual play, I don't necessarily have a problem with it because it feels like a casual deck. But I mean, it feels like an interesting, like gimmicky casual deck. But in competitive play, that shit is cancer. Like, how am I? It's all like, my thing is this: there's always going to be a way to play against certain cards and everything else like that, which is understandable. But at the end of the day, there also has to be like a drawback to everything. And I feel like that there's little to no drawback with Gize. Like, legitimately, the problem I have with it is, oh, I can try to damage deny it, but there's still some way for them to get triggers into the damage zone. Oh, is all like I can try to damage deny and everything else, but they have like what, Bobo? They're just gonna Bobo it, or in Angel Feather's case, they're just gonna find a way to get damage into the damage zone anyway, thanks to Holy Seraph No Seal. But then what else? What else am I supposed to do about it? Okay, so I play like hella defense and wait for the Gize to come out, and you already know I take the 5 damage, but what am I supposed to do against Gize that's always going to be 30k base? And now they got this shit ton of like 15 card, 16 card hand. They all like, oh yeah, I have all this hand. What you gonna do? I'm at 30k. What am I supposed to do with that? It's like, oh, but then I could just try to rush them and try to kill them off as fast as possible. They're still going to hit triggers regardless. And especially talking about Angel Feather wise, that shit's gonna be dumb as hell too. So what am I supposed to do at this particular point? If I play aggro, I lose. I play defensively, I lose. It all comes down to the RNG of fucking Gize. And that's the part I hate about this card. I hate the RNG to this card. Because no matter how much you strategize against it, the RNG says you just lose. That's not fun. And now seeing that Angel Feathers arguably has the best defensive tactic in the game right now, thanks to set 12, and then you have that stupid stride from 2020. I know that the stride is a little bit slow because it's a GB3, GB4, whatever, but now I have to kill this nigga at 8 instead of 6? What type of BS is that? Bushiroad, what the hell were you doing? Like, the moment this strike came out, this was the first thing I was thinking. I was like, Gize Angel Feather player's gonna have a fucking ball with this card. That's some BS. And you all like, oh, well, it's too slow. It's like, you know how good the Angel Feather's defense is right now? Their defense is like, that shit is atrocious. Like, on the real. So what am I supposed to do with that? That's why I was like, yo, Gize and Angel Feathers cannot be a thing no more. I'm sorry. Like, try to find another thing with Gize. But, oh, speaking of that, then you have Gize and Emperor's Ghidorah. That's even worse. It's all like, yo, I know I'm a Megacolony player and all that, though, but no, that shit is disgusting. How in the hell are you supposed to play against a Protect deck where Gize is all like, where you're playing with Emperor's Ghidorah, that prevents you from using any G cards from your G Guardians whatsoever, that stuns your whole field. So now you always got to keep a grade 3 in hand and actually come up with some pretty decent strategy with it. And at the same time, they are hitting triggers for no apparent reason because RNG says, fuck you. What are you supposed to do to that? You can't do nothing. You can't summon nothing. You can't use G Guardians to defend yourself on half the attacks. What are you supposed to do to that at the particular point? You can't really do nothing. I feel like that combo alone was just retarded. It was like, it was bad enough that Megacolony was already decent, was already somewhat decent with Gize, but that with Emperor's Ghidorah is straight cancer, bro. That's straight cancer. So I don't know, man. I feel like that Gize and Empress Ghidorah should be restricted, and Angel Feathers or Gize should just be completely restricted. Because I feel like there might be a few cards in Angel Feathers that might kind of say otherwise, but I don't know exactly what those particular cards outside of Holy Saber No Seal is. Because there's other cards that causes just as much problem. So I don't know, man. Then you have Gestil. Be real with you. This is kind of sort of like in the same case of Ikamishima Ichitam, where everybody wanted this thing to get hit, but it never did. And in Gastil's case, it's always because you can restrict it from a couple of cards here and there that causes the issue, but they always have something else to go to. On top of that, whenever Dark Irregulars get some type of support, they're just going to default to that support as well. So now it's at a thing where it has to get banned because no matter what, there's always going to be another combo. And it doesn't make any sense trying to be like, oh, well, let's just restrict it with this combo and this combo. They find something else. It gets retarded. It gets dumb. And oh, now we got to try to find something else for it. Now we got to put this and that. Just simply ban it. Just ban it. It's all like, and the sad thing is, like I mentioned before, it was just as cancerous as Katrina. Why didn't it get hit in the same time as Katrina did? That makes no sense whatsoever. Moving on, Katrina at 1. Obviously, you saw earlier that I said, yo, Zazan, Tempest Spear, and Cyclone need to get banned. And I feel like the interaction with Cyclone and Katrina definitely need to get hit. I also gotta say that the errata that I mentioned earlier is going to be a reason too. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. If you want to call it bias, call it bias. I don't care. Like, if you want to call it bias, just do it. But I kind of feel like that should have been a thing. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The other stride is just pretty good. It's still worth using. So it's not like a complete loss. It's just a low-key suggestion, I guess. If that makes any sense. Then Ultima and the Overdress trigger. I'm gonna be real with you. Ever since that Over trigger came out, this was legitimately the first combo that everybody has thought of. It even got up to a point where Ultima went up a lot in price. Like, the price spiked up hella high because of that card. So it's obvious why that card in the Overdress needs to get like restricted, because oh yeah, stack the Overdress trigger with Ultima. Now everybody has infinite attack for no apparent reason. That's not fun to go against. That's not fun to work. Especially seeing that basically every single version of the United Sanctuary clans are good. They all have something to work with. These all like they're good enough to stand on their own. So obviously, if the first strat isn't going to work, obviously the Ultima strat is going to be like the next thing to look at. That's going to be their out regardless. So no, that's dumb. Like, restrict that shit, bruh. Restrict it. And then last but not least, the Cray Elementals with Zazan, the Tempest Spear, and Cyclone. I'm not even gonna talk about Zazan. You already know why. Cyclone, I kind of feel like the interaction with Cyclone and Tempest Spear is kind of BS in my honest opinion. Tempest Spear got up to a point where it's like you can't really make a deck without it 90% of the time. And even if you do, I don't know, man. Even if you do use like a deck without Tempest Spear, you're not really going to get that far into it. You gotta have like some major strike, to go with it in order for you not to really use it. Like, for a prime example, Nudo, Nudio, or whatever you want to call it. That's a prime example though. But like, I feel like Tempest Spear, you have to solely depend on it. because getting GB1 while you're still at grade 2 is a thing. And I'm all like, why? Why is this even a thing? This shouldn't be a thing in the first place, but it is. And I feel like that's actually pretty busted. I think, in my personal opinion, um, getting strides face up in the G zone and activating your GB skill very early shouldn't have never been a thing in the first place. I don't think the game should have been played that way, but it's here, and there's nothing you can really do about it, sadly. And now every deck has to resort to using Tempest Spears, Zazan, and Cyclone. So I kind of feel, in my personal opinion, is this. Even with the shitty strides that came out in Premium Collection 2020, if you didn't have, these three particular cards, the thing would have been very, it would have been diverse. It would have been, I felt like that the format would have been a lot more diverse than it has been right now. I feel like that the diversity would have been a lot better. Like, I would have said, yo, maybe everything but maybe 5 clans would have been useful in some form or fashion. Like, because like a lot of the stars that came out with it, even if they weren't really that good outside of like Megacolony, it was, they were usable in some form or fashion. It helped out a lot of the clans that didn't really have decent strides. I mean, think about that for a second. It, like, a lot of clans that didn't really have decent strides at the time had something good. And any clan that didn't, that had their good strides taken away, like, Neo Nectar with Katrina, they got something back very good in return. So I mean, and then all of it got screwed up because Bushiroad was like, yo, let's try to make vanilla decks work. It all got screwed over because of that. So that's why I'm all like, yo, that's overall what my restriction list look like. Honestly, I do have a couple of hosts for Premium Collection 2021. There's about 4 of them. The first one is G Guardians, because I feel like that we're way overdue for G Guardians. I definitely feel like that there are a lot of clans that don't really have any good ones, like Murakumo. We do need a lot of decent ones now that we're not really going towards the keyword thing, because there's certain clans that their best G Guardians is locked in whatever keyword that clan was using at that particular time or anything else like that. But I definitely feel like, yo, why did we go 2 premium collections without any single new G Guardians? Like, that makes no sense whatsoever. So yeah, I'm hoping that we get some G Guardians. I'm hoping we get a way to bring back Break Ride, a way to bring back Legion, and I kind of wish that there was a Cray Elemental version of the Royal Paladin and the Kagero, not the Royal Kagero, the Royal Paladin and the Shadow Paladin star that they got in Premium Collection 2020, where they're able to use the heart skill. I definitely feel like there's a lot of clans that needs that type of card. I feel like that there's a lot of clans that would definitely benefit off of having a card similar to that. I'm not even gonna lie. I feel like that should have been a Cray Elemental card. That would have made everything a lot better, in my honest opinion. And it definitely would have helped out clans, especially some of the clans that has a completely different playstyle in standard format than they did in premium. So that's all I'm hoping for. This video's been long enough. If you have any questions, put in the comment section. I already know there's going to be a lot of things that people are going to disagree with, such as the Luard and the main thing, such as the Ichitan thing, such as the Katrina hit, maybe even the Castile hit. But whatever. Anyway, with that being said, my name is Z Nation, aka Salvatore Jones Giraffa. This has been the Megacolony Trap House Podcast.